In terms of formatting this, I'm just going to set it to red because we're sort of ending it. And I'm going to collapse this because you can still see everything and it makes it a bit neater. So now that we've got all the calculations done, we're going to go through each of these different messages and lay them out. So for example, if we select thanks for booking as a message, we're going to do this. So instead of doing if statements here, for example, if thanks for booking is the variable of message type, we're going to do what's called a switch statement. A switch statement is effectively the same as an if statement. The only difference is that if always has an else with it, whereas we're doing lots of different else's, so we don't want to do lots of different nested if statements. It'll make sense now. So if I do switch case, okay. So if the variable, in this case, it's going to be Airbnb message type, and we're going to do is, and let's do thanks for booking. So I'm going to paste this here. If it's thanks for booking, we're going to insert text by pasting. And I've just paused the video and added what I want in here. Again, it's going to be similar to what was in the first video where you have this variable of guest name here. So remember, you can do this by doing insert token variable and then guest name here. And that Keyboard Maestro will insert this for you automatically. And this is where we can start using these calculations that we've done. So thanks for booking. I'm looking forward to making, remember we did a calculation of the number of guests. So if there are 2 guests, then this is going to say you 2. So I'm looking forward to making you 2 comfortable so you have a great stay in London. So for example, with me, I only have a maximum of 2 guests. So this you 2 will be fine. If there's just 1 guest, I'm just going to say you. So I'm looking forward to making you comfortable so you have a great stay in London. The rest is pretty standard. The only other thing I've done is I've then deleted the clipboard because this is now part of the clipboard and we don't want that really. We want to have our old existing clipboard still working. You can just search for this in the action. So remember, Control Command A and then delete current system clipboard, which is what I've done here. I've just collapsed it. Now, every time we want to paste the message in, we want to do this just to sanitize our clipboard. So at this point, that's message 1 completed. Let's just test it. So I do air. And you can see it sort of looks almost complete now, but of course only this first option is working. But if I do thanks for booking, and let's do these options. So even though we're not using some of these yet, and you can see this is working fine. So let's go back to the macro. Now the other messages will be more complicated. Again, it's quicker to for building macros to just duplicate things. Do Command D to duplicate this, and just change some things. So the Airbnb message type variable, yeah, that's what we want. So if it's check-in, then what we're going to want to do, I've just paused the video and changed this message here. Now we've got a few extra variables here. Hello guest name is the same. And here we've got the planned check-in time. So here I've just, again, gone to insert token variable planned check-in time. And this is the thing that we answered at the beginning where we've got check-in time here. Then some instructions. I think that's it for the variables in this message. Again, we want to delete the clipboard. So we want another switch statement, and this is going to be a switch statement within a switch here. So I'm going to type in switch, and you can see it's sort of encompassed within this boundary. And we're going to do variable airport. Yeah, that's right, airport. And we're going to do contains Gatwick, and in here we're going to say let's paste again. Paste, insert text by pasting. And you can just add your own message here. So I've put some instructions from Gatwick Airport. Remember, we want to duplicate this to make it easier. So let's do if the variable airport contains Heathrow. And then you'd put your Heathrow directions here. And then you could also, let's say we had a third Stansted. You could do that here. So what this does is if the message is a check-in type, it'll do this intro text. And then depending on which airport we've selected, it'll do different instructions for that airport. There's one thing I missed out here, which is just to delete the clipboard after each of these messages has been pasted in. So let's just copy this and paste delete past clipboard into each of these to sanitize our clipboard. Now that takes care of the message type 2, which is check-in. Let's do message type 3. So how do we do this again? Let's just switch statements. You know what? I'm just going to copy the first one. Copy. Let's paste that. So if variable message type is arrival, and I've just paused the video and inserted my arrival text here. And this is how the arrival text works. So hello, guest name, blah, blah, blah. This is all standard text. So I've got two variables here. One is where we use the coffee drinkers calculation. So if you remember, we set the calculation above to different text depending on whether they drank coffee or not. So if they do drink coffee, it'll insert this text with the instructions. If they don't, it inserts nothing. So here, it'll either insert extra text or nothing. And here with the washing machine, it'll insert different text depending on how many nights they're staying and how many free washes they get. Now the final messages, so after the first night, the day before leaving, and all these other messages are basically just really standard messages that are deviations of this first message, where we've just got hi, variable guest name, and some other blurb. So in this case, you can just copy this and paste it down the bottom, but just change the variable statement checker. And that's it. So we have a fairly complex way of sending different Airbnb messages, but I was quite happy to automate this because I knew that I'd be using it time and time again. I'll put a link to the full macro downloads in the blog post, but I mainly wanted to do this to show you the thought process behind constructing a fairly complex macro like this and how it can help save you time.